In this video, we're going to create a background and some environmental dust and specks for our project. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up so we can create a background. I have Adobe Bridge here, and I just have some textures that I already created and used, so we'll just drop them in, and let's scale it out. So Control T, and just want to scale it to take the background and get that guy in place. Let's put him in place. And you can see I created a mask for later. And so we turn off that top layer, and the mask allows us to see our character. So the ambient inclusion is still there, and I have a final paint folder. I'm going to make a copy and flatten it and place it there, and we'll name this master layer. So the final paint folder has all of my layers in one place now that I've organized it. And then we have a mask there. I'm going to use my select tool to create a mask for this guy. And now we cleared the back. Anything we didn't need, we cleaned it up. So we can go directly and place this background behind it. And we're going to scale it out. There we go. And so what I want to do now is incorporate some color. Made a new layer. Now let's switch to purple and our gradient tool. And let's drop that, and then we'll change the layer style to overlay. And let's make an adjustment on the opacity. It's too strong. But what we want to do is use the color to pop our character off the page. So this is still a little intense. So I'm going to turn the opacity down on that layer. And let's see if we can get a better look. So let's go and turn the opacity up on our color layer. And still we're not perfect yet, but we're getting there. Let's make a new layer here and attach it for color. Here we go. We're going to rasterize that layer, and let's play with the color again, just using our hue and saturation. And I just want to make it darker, and so you can see that the character is more easily visible now, just because we made the background darker. And I want to take a new layer here, and let's look at our ambient inclusion too. Let's adjust that. And so we saved that since the beginning of the project because we knew we would need it toward the end. So just to lighten everything up. And now we're going to start to clean up the background so we can create the idea of a photo finish for our product. So we have the selection here, and I'm going to use the bucket tool just to fill that area, and then we're going to just use a blur. So these are Photoshop photograph techniques that we can use to help illustrate our picture. So it's just a color with the blur, and we're going to play with the coloring, the opacity a little bit, stretch it out to make sure that the color doesn't bleed into our character or painting. This looks pretty good. We're okay here. Just want to take a look at it as a complete composition, and we're all right. So let's go grab some other things we want to bring in. So I have some dust speckled JPEGs, stars, and things of that nature that we can bring in to help our final render. So let's move this here, and we're going to scale it out again. And this is very simple to do. It's just, once you get the idea, you can kind of tweak it on your own. So we turn the opacity down. And really, I just want to get the right look at this point. So I'm going to go through my light options, my layer options, and just try to find the one that enhances my art. And we can drop a mask directly on to the dust layer. So now we can control where the dust covers, so it doesn't cover our character, but it works. It creates an ambiance for the background, so we're okay. Let's make a new layer here, and let's just drop more color on top. Let's see, let's go this direction, and we'll drop the mask on this one also, so we can make the background a little darker and more gritty, and take the opacity down. and put it on a multiply. So once again, the goal is to focus on the character. I don't want the background to outshine or equal the character. So now we can start to crop it and bring it together and make sure that we have a nice composite of our project. So this is pretty good. I may tweak it a little bit more to make sure I get something toward the end that I'm really happy with. But that's the technique I'm going to use. And all I'll do is probably crop it and maybe adjust the opacity a little bit. So in the next video, we'll just go ahead and do our final touches to the project.